Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the man on the radio to man up about something that was said here yesterday. Something that bothered me inside what I was riffing on, the Margaret Wente column, talking about how today's men simply don't have the self-discipline, the self-control, the ability to work in teams. And therefore, the women who have all of those in spades are the ones who will, well, they'll just be the ones to get the great jobs and the great salaries. And so the guys will be left behind. Yes, it was a sweeping generalization. Look, I'm an admirer of Wente. I generally like the way she tells a story. And I like the way she generally pushes back on a lot of political correctness pap that affects the way we talk to each other and infects our respect for our fellow human beings. How can I continue to respect somebody if I withhold what I'm really thinking about what they're saying? Because if I tell them what I'm really thinking, well, I worry that it might be found offensive based on their gender, their sexual orientation, their heritage, their economic means, and it goes on and on ad nauseum. The scourge of PC. Well, last week, of course, it was the anthem. And I heard people say the most incredibly phony things in order not to be impolite to the women who supported the idea of deleting the word sons. I heard people say things like, I don't know how to talk to my daughter about the word sons being in there. And so I asked myself the question, are these people serious? How weak have people gotten? How slavish has it become? I mean, is the PC thing now the pharaoh? You don't know what to say to your daughter about why the word sons is in there? Ask your daughter to get in touch with me. Call Uncle Chuck. And I'll tell her the story about why sons is in there. I'll tell her the story about real men, most of whom were under the age of 21. And I'll tell them how they fought and died in those stinking trenches in a far-off land. And how they got shot up so bad that on some days the German guns that were injuring them injured them to the point where they were envying the dead. But our guys prevailed, even though they were badly outnumbered. Through incredible courage, the capacity to sacrifice themselves for their brothers in arms. Under thy son's command, they liberated France and Belgium, and they kept Britain free, and they kept the USA free. And I make no apologies for my selfishness, my niece. They kept our country free. Our lads did well under thy son's command. Now Thursday night you will cheer men named Kane and Ladd and Pavlik, and they will make you feel connected to your community that you live in. They will make you proud. And the reason we can be free to go enjoy hockey and even criticize these great soldiers on skates is because of the hundreds of thousands of men, no older than these young hockey players, laying down their lives for us under thy son's command. The national anthem, my niece, my daughter, my sister, my mother, the national anthem is not about you. It's about them. Giving you the opportunity to breathe free air, to exercise your fine mind, if you choose to, in order to elevate all around you. Their service to our cause gives us the opportunity to enjoy a Canadian life, a free life, a wonderful life. God bless the sons of Canada under thy son's command. Now look, that's what I would tell your daughter when your daughter asks, why is the word sons in there? I don't know whether Margaret Atwood or Gail Asper would ever repeat what I've just said to their daughters and nieces. But I can tell you this as a free man. I don't give a damn. I don't. I don't care how many awards Margaret Atwood has received for her books. I don't care how many millions Gail Asper has received from my late friend Izzy. None of Atwood's awards or Asper's millions makes them more qualified to speak to the daughters of this country, any more than this son of two factory workers, two immigrants, who couldn't speak a word of English in 1957 when they got to this country. Two ordinary people who worked in the sweatshops on the assembly lines of St. Lawrence Boulevard in Montreal. Yes, my dad worked for 75 cents an hour. And my mom sewed neckties for 2 cents a tie. 2 pennies per tie. And she never shied away from giving her 2 cents about why in the darkest days of 1956, after Russian tanks had completed the slaughter of young men in Budapest, young men who were armed with nothing more than a desperate desire to be free, she demanded that my dad put his young son in a backpack. My baby is not growing up in this hellhole, she told him. My son will never achieve his God-given potential in a land that surrendered his granddad because he wore a skull cap. Ladies and gentlemen, you couldn't put me in a room right now with Pauline Marois, the Premier of Quebec, because she cannot handle the idea of someone working for the taxpayers wearing a skull cap or a turban or a hijab or a cross that is too prominent. People who wear turbans, skull caps, hijabs, prominent crosses, they too are citizens of this country. They too pay taxes. But we're told they ought to be ineligible to serve in government based on their faith, based on their demonstration, their connection to their faith. It wouldn't be wise to put me in the same room with her, because I don't think I could call her Madam Premier. I would find another name that rhymes with witch, and I would want to call her Minister. Bernard Dranville, the minister who's promoting this nonsense, I would want to call him son of, the same word that rhymes with witch. My Canada includes Quebec. And as a free man, I will not shrink from exercising my freedom to tell the Premier that she is only the CEO of a democracy because of what our sons, many of whom had French names, did on French soil. And they did not go to occupy France. They went to liberate France. And all too many in thy son's command died. And so the only land they ended up occupying were the graves, which are marked Madame Marois by prominent crosses. In Flanders fields, the poppies blow. Between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. God bless John McCrae, the great Army medic, and his great Canadian horse, Bonfire, and the great Susan Raby Dunn in Black Diamond, Alberta, who wrote the story of John McCrae and his horse, and the enormous sacrifices of World War II under thy son's command. Is Susan Raby Dunn offended by the word sons? She is too grateful for those sons, too loving of those sons, too honored to have an intellectual and emotional and spiritual relationship with those sons to be offended by the word which identifies them, which dignifies them, which gives them a permanent place in our Canadian hearts. I came here today to man up and honor the men who were responsible for keeping this country free for my family and millions of others. Yesterday, I read several paragraphs of a Margaret Wente Globe and Mail column, which tells us that today's men may not be fit, may not be as fit as women to do today's jobs as well as women. Today's men apparently don't have the self-discipline that women have, and that may be true for some men. It was never true about my father, not even close. Not true about his brothers, not true about millions of other Canadians, many of whom are resting in peace in Flanders fields. A man in Alberta who worked with me during my halcyon years in front of this golden microphone instructed me to be a leader today and to lead with my values. And he sent me the 5 traits of leadership laid out by Sun Tzu in The Art of War. These are the 5 traits of leadership: intelligence, trustworthiness, humaneness, courage, and sternness. These are the traits that the real leaders of men have, whether they are leading on the battlefield of war or peace. So today, it's time to dispense with all the reasons why some men are not competitive with some women in some fields. It's time to tell the truth. Those men who respect intelligence, their own intelligence, and are willing to harness it, those men who are trustworthy, humane, courageous, and at times willing to be stern with people who want to trifle with our very public anthem, or those who want to tell us not to be publicly faithful to their God. God bless those who served in thy Son's command. And if you're wondering what to tell your daughter or granddaughter or niece, you tell them what I just told them. They won't feel suppressed by the patriarchy. Suppressed. Nothing is more liberating to the enterprise we call humanity than the truth. A great man, a leader of men, once said, "The truth will set you free." That is no less relevant today than it was more than 2,000 years ago. The vast eternal truths are timeless, just like anthems. They require no updates. They require no politically correct paint jobs or snow jobs or that other word that rhymes with snow. Jobs. Next time someone tells you that men are not as equipped as women to succeed in today's Canada, just say, "Snow me," or the word that rhymes with it. The poet said, "Yes, how many times can a man turn his head, pretending he just doesn't see?" The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. I'm Charles Adler.